Imagine growing up in a small fishing town in Iceland, dreaming of becoming a fisherman. Now imagine turning that dream into something entirely different, becoming one of the most iconic villains in children's television. But what happens when the cameras stop rolling? Who was Stefan Karl behind the makeup of Robbie Rotten? Hi, I'm Eric, and in this video I'll dive into the untold story of Stefan Karl Stefansson, a man who spread joy to millions of kids but also struggled with his own battles behind the scenes. Stick around and let's explore his journey together. Stefan's early life. Stefan was born on July 10, 1975 in Hafnarfjörður, a predominantly fishing and port town. Stefan said he never really enjoyed physical activities. He used to play soccer as a kid, but became a referee to avoid running too much. His mother says he's a little like Robbie.
Og segð mér þessu Fríð, þetta var ekki...
Þetta var svo óþægileg spurning að ég ákvaða að...
He had the nickname Stebby, the pier rat, in his hometown, because he was always around the pier interacting with the other fishermen, and his dream was to become one. He even had a license to pilot boats and knew how to fly planes. His acting career began when he was 12 years old, performing in school plays. He mentioned that people never really paid attention to him unless he was being funny. He used to organize small puppet shows in his garage, and other parents would ask why he was so strange, why he wasn't playing with the other kids. His parents responded by saying he was a very creative artist, and even though they weren't sure if it was true, they always supported him. Stefan had a very close relationship with his father, who attended all his plays, from school performances to the National Theatre of Iceland. Even when Stefan was filming Lazy Town, his father would sometimes visit the set and have lunch with him. When Stefan was 15, he became closer to his uncle, Gunnar Helgason, who was also an actor, and they put on a comedy show together. Stefan had Tourette syndrome, but he learned to use his tics to his advantage when playing certain characters. He also had ADHD, which he discovered much later in life. In 2009, he released a music album where he talked a bit about the syndromes. Stefan faced severe bullying throughout his school years, mostly because of his large ears and energetic personality. It got to a point where he didn't want to go to school anymore. However, the turning point came when he met psychiatrist Margaret Blondal, who helped him through a rough period, encouraging him to focus on acting instead of giving up. This experience deeply influenced Stefan and later inspired him to fight against bullying. He became one of the founders of the organization Rainbow Children, aimed at tackling bullying. He said that he had experienced both sides of bullying, as a victim and a perpetrator. The project started when Stefan noticed the daughter of a friend refusing to go to school. They talked for 3 hours and Stefan then drove to her school and asked to speak to the students. He spoke to all the classes in 2 or 3 days without really knowing what he was doing, but just wanting to have a human conversation. He said that once the teachers left the room, the children opened up to him. He also wanted the children to believe in themselves and in their dreams. There's a great video of him speaking at a school.
Sem fór til Nickelodeon og bara Welcome to Lazy Town Ég ekki enn búin að læra þetta Fólki hjá Nickelodeon það horfði bara svona Okay, thank you Hvað ertu fyrir Íslandi á mál? Það ekki bara, já, og við erum að fara að gera hérna þetta og dróniður hérna tjöld og fyrst og alls konar tækjum og við erum að gera svona og svo með síksætti. Svona við erum bara að sjá að gera fyrir mig. Við kunnum það. Þetta er frábært. Það er ekki maður þarf. Hann bara setti það. Hann trúði það alla leið. Hann tók hann 7 ár.
Stefan followed his dream of becoming an actor and graduated in drama for the Icelandic University of Arts. He was offered a contract to act in the productions of the National Theatre. He participated in many plays. On particular note is Little Shop of Horrors, when he played the dentist in the Icelandic adaptation. The beginning of Robbie Rotten. Stefan met Magnus at a party at the Icelandic consulate in London. He said they were the only two sober people at the party, so they ended up talking to each other and bonding. The next day, Stefan was on a flight back to Iceland when Magnus, who was in business class, switched seats with the lady next to him in economy. And for the entire 3-hour flight, Magnus pitched Lazy Town to him and asked him to play Glenny Gleiper. Stefan thought the whole thing was crazy, but that's how he got cast for the role. Interestingly, his wife, Steinunn Ólína Þorsteinsdóttir, who was not his wife at the time, was one of the directors at the National Theatre and initially rejected Glenny Gleiper í Latabæ, saying it wasn't good enough. Several changes were made to the play before it was finally accepted. Stefan was very grateful for the time he spent playing the same character, allowing him to develop its personality and traits. When Lazy Town was picked up by Nickelodeon, they decided that Robbie would be half human, half puppet. That's why he had prosthetics on his chin and eyebrows, and it took about 2 hours each day to apply the makeup and 45 minutes removing it. And after doing this process daily, his skin eventually started rejecting the glue. He also had to learn English quickly to play Robbie. Before the TV show, he barely knew the language. Stefan was a singer, and unlike Magnus, who had his songs dubbed, Stefan sang his own songs both in English and Icelandic. And yes, he also dubbed himself in Icelandic. He became good friends with Máni, the series composer, who said that Stefan would often visit his studio to chat and vent. Life in Los Angeles. Stefan moved to LA with his wife and 2 daughters in 2005. In a somewhat unplanned way, he sold everything he owned in Iceland, packed his bags and went. Despite Robbie being well known, he struggled to find jobs because of his accent. He decided to create his own production company, High Risk Productions, I love this name, to make his own projects. However, this didn't work out, and Stefan felt guilty for spending so much of his family's money on this venture. His wife forgave him, and they remained a very close couple. Stefan almost got a role as the Grinch, but was rejected for not having permanent residency in the US. He tried everything, but it wasn't until he got his green card a year later that he finally secured the role. He continued to work on various projects, including the 3rd and 4th season of Lazy Town. When he returned to Iceland to film the 3rd season, around 2012, he had to go through intensive CrossFit training to portray Robbie. Around this time, his father, with whom he was very close, passed away from cancer at the age of 66, which was a very difficult period for Stefan. We are number 1. Hey. This song aired in the episode Robbie's Dream Team in 2014, and in September 2016, it suddenly became popular on the internet. On October 13 of the same year, Stefan announced his diagnosis of bile duct cancer. A campaign created by Lazy Town writer Mark Valenti on GoFundMe was launched to raise money for Stefan's treatment and living expenses while he was too ill to work. The meme spread further, and people used the song and memes to promote the campaign, which raised over $1,000 by December of that year. To thank the fans, Stefan did a live stream with the other actors from the show, as well as Máni, the composer. They released several isolated tracks from the song, such as just the vocals, drums, and trumpet, and this facilitated the production of more memes and remixes. The meme blew up in late 2016 and 2017, and if you're watching this video, you've probably seen one. Stefan went into remission in August 2017, but in March 2018, his cancer was deemed inoperable, and he chose to discontinue chemotherapy. On June 17, 2018, Stefan was awarded the Knight's Cross of the Order of the Falcon for his contribution to Icelandic theater and society. But 1 month later, on August 21, 2018, at the age of 43, Stefan passed away. Legacy. A petition was created to erect a statue of him in his hometown, which has gathered over 5,000 signatures. For now, it's just a petition. I'll leave the link in the description if anyone wants to sign it. Stefan did not have a funeral, per his request, so any videos of a funeral circulating are fake. After his death, Mark Valenti published the book Life is Now, which shares Stefan's life story and letters exchanged after his diagnosis. Stefan left behind his wife, 3 daughters and a son, as well as countless fans who miss him dearly. It's heartbreaking that someone so talented and kind left us so young. Stefan, you were, are, and will always be number one.
Núna verður allir að vakna og bursta tennurnar. Fara síðan fram og fá sér kaffi og kíkja á sólina. Nána, góðan daginn, ástin mín.